Good morning, 6:01. Happy Friday to you. With reservoirs being depleted at an alarming rate, more cities are increasing their watering restrictions. Stage 3 rules are now in effect in Abbotsford and Mission, but in Nanaimo and Parksville, they've moved to Stage 4 restrictions, the highest level ever implemented in those areas. All lawn sprinkling for households and businesses is banned because of the severe ongoing drought. People in the community are not allowed to wash their cars or even power wash their properties. There's also a ban on filling swimming pools, wading pools, hot tubs, and garden ponds.
We're at historic low stream flow in some of the region's rivers, so Englishman River, Little Qualicum River are two examples. And this also affects groundwater levels. So without the snow melt, without the precipitation in that spring-summer period, we're not getting that recharge of groundwater. We're not seeing the stream levels that we normally would see. And the long range is saying that this is going to continue through to the end of September.
In Metro Vancouver, restrictions remain at Stage 2 this morning. That means lawns can only be watered once a week. In the city of Vancouver, so far more than 700 warnings have been issued. The city says it just wants people to understand why they need to comply with the restrictions. A brown lawn isn't dead, it's just dormant.
We've got a lot of eyes on the street across the city, and over 1 million eyes, and we're getting a lot of phone calls. Our phones are ringing off the hook right now, and so we're certainly, using that information to follow up and our enforcement. But yeah, the best approach is always to talk to people.
The Martin Mars water bomber will soon be back in action, fighting BC wildfires. Pilots took the water bomber out for a test flight above the Alberni Valley yesterday. The plane's owner says it can unload 27,000 liters of water in one single drop. The province has signed a 1-month contract to use the air tanker at a cost of $600,000 a month, plus hourly flying costs. The Alberni Valley's Dog Mountain Blaze is just one of about 200 wildfires currently burning throughout BC. Well, temperatures are about to take a slight dip over the next couple of days, but conditions are still way too warm to leave pets inside vehicles, and people still not getting that message. Greg has got more on that in Vancouver this morning. Greg.
Good morning, Kyle. Well, this weather, it's impacting our forests, our lawns, and our pets. The BC SPCA says the calls are up by 65% recently. So far, there's been around nearly 850 calls of animals being left in hot vehicles, and this is up by nearly 350 calls during the same time last year. So this is an increasing problem here. It's such a big problem that a demonstration was done in Surrey yesterday to show how unbearable these circumstances can be, especially for your dog. Things can turn fatal in just 15 to 20 minutes.
Dogs are not able to perspire the way we do, and they can only pant, and they release their body heat through their pads. The upholstery in vehicles gets extremely hot, and unfortunately it doesn't take long before they can perish.
So last year, the BC SPCA received around 1,100 calls of animals being left in hot vehicles. We're already getting close to that number this year. Kyle?
Greg Harper, live this morning in Vancouver. Thanks for that, Greg. Well, huge crowds turned out for the grand opening of Richmond's new designer outlet mall near Vancouver International Airport.
3, 2, 1.
At some of the stores, crowds had to be held back as eager shoppers tried to get in early on the opening deals. There were so many people arriving at the MacArthur Glen Designer Outlet that it caused a massive traffic jam on the streets in Richmond. The 240,000 square foot mall is located near the Templeton station on the Canada line.
To the States, like half the stuff that I see online.
Yeah, it just makes it easier, so I don't have to go that far. And with the exchange rate, everything is better.
I want to keep Canadian dollars in Canada. I'd rather have less cross-border shopping, and I'd rather have more Americans coming to Canada to shop at our centre. I also think that helps with the exchange rate right now.
History is being made in South Carolina this morning. The Confederate flag will no longer be flown above the state capitol grounds. South Carolina's governor signed legislation yesterday to permanently remove the controversial flag. It followed an emotional debate spurred by the massacre of 9 black churchgoers last month. The rebel banner was carried by Confederate troops in America's Civil War and is seen as a symbol of racism and slavery by many. Others see it as an emblem of Southern heritage. Once it's taken down this morning, the flag will go to the relic room of a military museum.